Hello, you guys. We have a special surprise today. We are revealing the summer collection 2023, and oh my goodness, the stockists have them right now so you can get them in your hot little hands. And what do we have?
We have 4 transfers, 4 stamps, 3 molds, and 2 inlays. So it is a nice, robust release.
We are going to be kicking it off with our stamp category, and our first one is Pennsylvania Folk.
We love our Pennsylvania folk. And I think in general, what we love about folk art is the fact that every culture has its own version of what we call folk art.
Oh, yeah.
The primitive designs that draw on nature. And it's just something that resonates with all of us. I think it
feels
speaks to
familiar,
home,
it's classic, timeless.
Exactly. And this particular rendition drew heavily from inspiration from the fractal imagery from the Pennsylvania settlers. And those
so
are
cool.
like, so they go back so far. And in fact, a lot of the furniture, if you can find stuff with actual fractal art on it, is very valuable. So we decided to pull that imagery in and create a folk stamp that has all of that in a really beautiful hand-drawn, varied line width and symmetry. So we have mirror images here so that you can create the symmetry that is so an earmark of folk art.
When I was looking at inspiration for projects with this stamp design, I actually ran across several really just rustic, primitive pieces from Christie's and Sotheby's
First
that
Dibs,
were
the auction
gorgeous,
houses.
and just you guys have to look it up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So as far as using this and stylistically, I mean, Josie talked a lot about this already, but I think in the traditional sense of just on dark colors, you guys can picture this with a colorful bohemian feel. That's how you will usually see this. However, it would be gorgeous on a more neutral, like soft linen palette with like maybe a taupe or creams and whites for a French farmhouse look.
Oh, totally. I can totally see this using the same type of symmetry that you would use on a traditional folk piece on the darker colors, but doing it in that lighter pattern or the lighter colors. That would be beautiful. Or how about getting a little funky with it and going with really contrasted colors like black on white or blue on white.
Yes.
Or jumbling up the images and not doing symmetrical. I think there's just a lot of versatility there.
I feel like this is maybe one of our most flexible stylistically products that we have.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Okay, we have other products to cover, so we better move on.
Yes. As you all know, Reverie was one of our first generation stamps that was very popular, and we've had a lot of requests to redo it.
Yes, we have.
However, instead what we did is we used that for the inspiration for Reverie. Reverie is a 2-sheet stamp set, and drawing on that inspiration from Reverie, we have this beautiful Renaissance vibe. But what we did is we made it more buildable with more useful elements, and we made our angel double and facing. So that way, if you're going to use it on a piece that has facing doors, you can use it appropriately. So you have 2 facing each other rather than 2 facing the same direction.
I feel like one of those stewardesses.
Exactly. So you have some amazing pieces in this, but the main impetus, if I can use that word.
If I may,
behind this was to be able to look at classic compositions for Flourish and basically be able to recreate anything your heart desires using these really buildable pieces broken down to their basic elements.
Exactly. You can look at almost any design, composition, and layout and rebuild it with Reverie.
Exactly.
You guys are going to love this. Not only that, but it is amazingly flexible when it comes to style. You can cover like a dark and dramatic gothic look, glam.
Victorian revival.
If you want to go, that direction, but it's also beautiful for a timeless classic like French farmhouse or flea market vibe.
Subtle tone on tone for that exact thing, like a graphite color on a gray color or a linen on a soft white.
Yes, exactly. Could we say that this might be a staple for everybody to have?
I feel like it is.
I feel like it is.
I feel it like it is. You know Jackie Hoffman's going to be making magic with it.
Oh, 100%.
No pressure. No pressure.
Next, we have rural scenes. This is one of my absolute favorites. I often say that, however, I genuinely have so many ideas for this one for my interior because it really, really resonates with my style. And it's definitely got that iconic historical from like the English and the French. It's
the
got
pastoral.
the pastoral, yes.
All the elements. It's a 2-sheeter. And so that it's got everything you need to create a beautiful landscape scene with common folk
And trees.
and trees and sheep and windmills and cypress. So you've got everything you need to create a beautiful scene on drawers going all across without having repetition.
I'm going to be making a lumbar pillow, one of those long pillows that you can put on your sofa. I have a white sofa and I'm going to be doing it with a blue ink. It's
In a
going to be
nubby linen,
gorgeous.
nubby linen
Of
and
course,
feathers.
of course. And also you could use this for a toile. It would make a gorgeous
beautiful toile.
Yes, or like Josie said, create scenes. You often see these hand painted on drawers or cabinets, and it's just classic and timeless.
It is, and one of the things that I want to try using it for, knowing that when you do stamp with gold leaf adhesive that you don't get as fine of a image.
Yeah.
But in this case, that's okay because you get the impression of what it is. And I've seen the old, the original furniture that's painted with these scenes on it, and they're not crystal clear. They're not highly tiny
Kind
details.
of rustic and
they're more
worn
rustic
back.
and worn back. So I think that gold leaf stamping with this would be amazing.
I love that idea.
So definitely if you are somebody who loves those pastoral scenic artwork, you're gonna wanna let your stockist know so she'll put one aside for you.
That's rural scenes.
Rural scenes. And for the finale of our stamp category, we have adornment. We are so excited about this. It is again a nod to our first generation of stamps, one of our very, very functional and stylish stamps that was all about the trims. This is an upgrade and a few twists here and there. You are going to see the classic egg and dart. In fact, I'm going to turn this because the way these are laid out. The classic egg and dart, you're going to see rope and you're going to see the laurel leaves, all kinds of just beautiful variations.
And these are so great for just adding a touch of design to your furniture. For those of you who don't want a lot of froof on your projects, this is perfect. You can use just a touch of trim on drawers or the top edge.
You could frame out the drawers or doors, or just like, could you imagine just this rope just along the base trim of a piece? Just a touch.
Yes.
And you could do it in gold leaf too.
So we actually used a little bit of this stamp. I don't remember the name of our one that we ripped off on, the original one, on my wall, and I just put it right above the baseboard. So another fun use.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful
And
way to
small
use it.
decor.
Or if you do a chair rail, or when think about this, when I've seen this done a lot, especially in Europe, not so much in the States, but it's beautiful when you just use paint, a contrasting color, 2/3 up.
Yes.
And then this would be a fabulous way to top that
just
off,
add a
wouldn't
little
it?
architectural element to
Yes,
it.
I love that.
Yes.
So you're gonna find that this is so versatile, a great way for those of you who don't want as much, you don't want to make a statement piece necessarily with a transfer or something bigger. You just want a touch of elegance. This is going to be a go-to for you.
So make sure that you get with your stockist and put adornment on your list.
So now we are going to talk about our molds. Juliet was inspired by something we saw in London. We were there on a business trip and Maddie was about 10 or 15 feet ahead of us.
She always walks ahead of us.
She walks so fast.
Josie and I are usually like this.
Looking at everything.
We have
and
to
she's
look at
like,
everything.
Come on, guys, what's taking you so long? So we were looking at things and we saw over one of the, I mean, you all know the architecture in London is amazing.
It is.
And this particular
So much eye candy.
inspiration came from some ironwork above an exterior facade. And we stopped and we're like, that would make an amazing mold.
Has to be a mold.
It was roses and trellis. And so this is Juliet from that experience, and it is created so that you can create a solid network of roses, and then it's seamless. It's created and designed specifically so that you can seam them up together, and the joint is just right. In fact, Lynn Brundage is created this beautiful example of a wide framed mirror that's solid roses, and she created a rusty white patina on it. It's amazing. You guys are gonna love this.
Yes, picture it like you could cover an entire drawer front with it.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the way it's created, you can just do solid roses.
Totally.
So decadent.
And the funny thing is we think feminine and we think Victorian and you know, shabby chic, but I could totally see a take on this in anthro.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Just all white,
just solid rose.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. So we are so excited about the Juliet mold, and I'm wondering if any of you can guess what was behind the name Juliet. Shakespeare. I always think of the trellis.
I felt like that was kind of obvious.
Maybe it is obvious. I don't know. It wasn't obvious to me. So the rose trellis.
See if you can
Romeo climbed to Juliet's room. So that is Juliet.
It is. It's very romantic.
The inspiration behind it.
Make sure you get with your stockist and get this one on your must-haves. Next up, we have Dainty Flourishes. Now, when we were designing this set, we dove deep into all of the classical different layouts and compositions with moldings. We obsessed and looked at all of the different things, and we really wanted to make sure that this set had a little bit of all of those different sections so you could recreate anything that you saw.
Yeah.
It's also designed with a scale that's a little more petite and delicate, so it can be paired with some of our other mold offerings like laurel and olive crest, rosettes.
Yes.
And so you definitely want to add this one to your collection.
Exactly.
What are some ways that we can use it?
Oh, you could use this in so many ways. The obvious is going to be creating onlays for your furniture. You can do central focus or frames on your doors and drawers, all of those, but plus you could do frames, small decor. The thing about this is like ultimate and buildable. So just like when we talked about with our reverie stamp, the buildability to be able to look at compositions for inspo, and we always tell you do that. Copy.
That's
Find that inspiration and then rebuild it with your molds or your stamps, because that's how you learn. That's how you learn good composition, by doing the reps. So this is perfect for that. So you're going to look at those compositions like Sally mentioned, and you're going to use it with your other molds that have classic elements like this, and do things like we talked about: furniture onlays, wall art, frames, all kinds of small decor, cake.
Oh yes,
of course, always all the molds with sugar arts.
Oh yeah.
So this is going to be, again, this is going to be a classic staple, especially if you're one of our diehard collectors who have most of our stuff. This is going to be beautifully blended with your other molds.
I was just thinking jewelry.
Oh, jewelry, yes.
Some beautiful ornate necklace work would be gorgeous with this set. So Dainty Flourishes, make sure you get it.
Yes. Before Jackie Hoffman buys them all. Next, we have our primitive mold. Yes, we doubled down on the folk because we have a stamp and we have a mold in it, but we don't think you're gonna get mad when you get your hands on these.
I know.
They're just so beautiful.
Apologies.
And the elements in this one, we have pomegranate, we have thistle, we have tulip, we've got, of course, flowers. We have mirror-facing jumping rabbits. I mean, just so many of the we have a little piece of wheat, and of course we have birds. We've got so many.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, finish.
That's okay.
That's all you were gonna say about that. When I was looking for project inspiration, again, just coming up with ideas to share with you guys, I could not find one that we didn't have covered on this set.
Yeah, we covered just a range, such a range of the motifs in this. And I particularly love like the pomegranate and the thistle. They're just such, I mean, ancient, classic elements, like ancient.
This is an unusual use, but I actually thought, how fun would it be to create a little folk birdhouse for the spring?
Oh, so cute. You know what you
in
just
a bright color
made me think of?
What?
That would be super cute. Remember, you know the little wooden children's rocking chairs?
Oh,
how cute to do the slats on that. Not very comfortable, but super cute. But yeah, so many. And that's you think of the wood tones, the old rustic wood tones. But there's just so much you can do with this. I'm excited to use this on a piece of furniture and create little symmetrical scenes that look like carved wood.
If you paint them in like a wood tone and then allow that to dry completely then paint it over in a black and then do a slight wet distress over them.
Totally.
Would be so beautiful.
But I must admit that but all the folk elements really like push me, they make me crave to use color, like the really rich spice tones and tomato red and the grass green. So I am excited to get a little bit outside of my comfort zone with color with these folk elements. So this, again, we think that folk in both the stamp and in the mold are going to be just really hot and popular. So if it's one you love, definitely get this in your hot little hands, primitive. As we mentioned, we have 2 inlays, but it's a little different than usual because it's actually 2 palettes of the same design. The design is trompe l'oeil, and we have it in laurel, which is a beautiful tone-on-tone linen palette, and then we have it in blue, which we couldn't decide, and it's a beautiful Delft blue, and just so classic. We had to have both, and we think that you guys will see that you needed both.
Yes, for sure. And when we designed this, again, we spend a lot of time thinking through the use case for the designs.
How it's going to be composed on your pieces, how versatile it is for different applications.
And this has so many, just the flexibility, because we have horizontal oriented strips for your drawers, but we also have vignette pieces
in
with
a couple
roses,
of different scales.
With different scales, exactly. So there's almost no
drawers,
furniture piece you wouldn't be able to adorn with our trompe l'oeil.
And as far as interior styles go, anybody who loves vintage, and so that applies to farmhouse, that applies to French country, that applies to the French flea market, you know, all of those styles, these are so appropriate for.
So I could picture Laurel colored in a eclectic interior with all kinds of books and the dusty and musty feel with the overstuffed velvet couch.
Kind of like the traditional English eclectic.
Yes, that would be beautiful in a scene like that.
And totally.
You're definitely gonna need both colors, so don't worry about choosing. We give you permission to get both.
Yes, it's true, but could you not see this in a cottage application on a soft buttery yellow? How beautiful. Well, I mean, blue and yellow, that's always, or of course the blue on white. And because it's real paint with our inlays, you can apply this and you can, after it's dry, before you seal it, you can go back in and you can soften it and get just a little bit of bleed, so you get that kind of the flow blue a little bit on that. I think that is going to be, you're gonna love it. So these are our trompe l'oeil inlays.
You have to have them. Last but definitely not least, The transfers.
Which we know you guys love. So the thing about the transfers though this time is you should know they are shipping about 2 weeks later than the other products. So just let your stockist know what you want and she'll put a note in and save it, set it aside for you. So without further ado, we have Elysium. And this is a beautiful floral spray that radiates out from the center, and it's watercolor and it's beautiful. And so all the textural color that you see in watercolor, you have in Elysium. And one of the things that we did when we were designing this is to make, in order for it to be versatile, because when you have a large piece that is, you know, one big design, you lose some versatility. However, when we laid it out, we did it, some of you remember we did this with Bungalow as well. We did it in a way that you could use the sections differently than just putting them all together. So you could use half of it in a direct, for a border, and then you can take and flip the other half. So you could go one continuous border that radiates up on the bottom third of your furniture, for example, or on the top third coming down. And you can get different, in fact, on the packaging, there's different examples of usage.
Or a corner cluster coming up from one side.
You can use it asymmetrically.
Or counterbalance that with a little bit in the upper corner. There's just so many ways that you can lay it out.
Exactly.
But this set is just, the colors are so, I like to say, unapologetically feminine.
They are. But there's pops of deeper, richer colors
like
in
plums
there. Yes,
and raspberry.
Plum, and there's a soft kind of, would you call this a sandy coral? It's not, it's a soft coral. It's not like super saturated.
Honestly, one of the things I love about this palette is that you do have the cool color tones covered as well as the warmer palette. So color-wise, it really is going to fit in many different interior spaces.
It's so true. And what we did is we pushed the limits of incorporating color, but also being able to have, there's a neutrality to it. Because we didn't go super saturated, with the exception of a few little pops, so that it doesn't like scream color at you. It's toned down a little bit.
We can understand why you guys have been wanting this, and we have given it to you, so make sure you get in touch with your stockists and let them know that you want Elysium. Now we have Maize Roses, and this one is so beautiful. It has a neutral palette with some beautiful sepia, off black, cream tones.
Tone on tone, soft, romantic, and really versatile. I mean,
always.
I was surprised at how beautiful it looks against, there's like a burnt orange piece that we see it on, and it looks amazing.
It does.
I mean, there are warm tones in it, like the cream color is warm, and there's this bronze color for the darker tones. So you can see why it does look really beautiful on that warm burnt orange.
Yes, and Anna, as far as the layout, you can do like a full oval, use all of them for like a high boy. Picture it in just a French flea market type interior with all kinds of whites and creams. But like Josie said, it looks gorgeous on pops of color too.
Totally. And when you look at the pieces, the 4 different pieces, what's cool is you can use them as strategically placed clusters. You don't have to use them as a continuous oval. So it's just beautiful. You're gonna love this. And especially because I feel like the color palette is so versatile.
And the roses are our favorite kind of roses. They're like that vintage heirloom cabbage rose, which is just our favorite. So make sure you get a hold of Maize Roses, talk to your stockist, and let them know you want this one.
Next we have The Botanist. We love this because when we came across this vintage artwork, we were so inspired by the fact that, for one, it was like, this is already an amazing composition with the swags and the medallion oval. And we put some classic botany text in there so that it just kind of finished the touch.
Everything looks so good with typography.
It does, it does. And the cool thing about, and I think what really we loved most about this was, well, two things. I gotta say, it's two things, because there's the colors. The colors make my heart go pitter patter. And my interior isn't overly romantic or feminine, but nonetheless, I can appreciate a beautiful, mine's more eclectic, but I can appreciate beauty when I see it. And this is beautiful. You have this soft, the roses are this beautiful soft blush color with bits of more saturated color, but just a bit. And then you've got pale white, but blush white wild roses, and then you have these what's the color for the
those are morning glories.
These like, what's that color? It's like the cornflower blue.
The periwinkle?
It's like a periwinkle blue on your morning glories. And they're all in these beautiful swags in this gorgeous classic composition that looks amazing on headboards, benches, wall art, buffets. I mean, it's really a beautiful composition.
I feel like this is going to be the new La Parisienne.
Oh yeah, this is going to be beautiful. This is definitely,
we'll have it around for a long time.
Unapologetically romantic.
Yes,
but it's just beautiful. And for all of our romantic customers out there, this is going to be one that you're going to want to get your hands on.
Yes, The Botanist. Make sure you get it. Last, but again, not least, we have doubled down on the seed catalog motif because it is so much fun. But this one has a ton of color as opposed to Maize Roses. This one is sized 8 by 12, perfect for small decor, all of those spring summer projects.
Wall art.
Yes, and then we've got veggies and peaches and roses.
All the things. I mean, just the, the vintage seed catalogs, the artwork that they would do on those was just unparalleled in the advertising. It was
hand-drawn,
so beautiful.
Hand-painted.
Yes.
Beautiful vintage artwork. What can we use these on? Like so many things.
Totally. So wall art comes to mind, small decor. We talked about cottage kitchen. This is perfect for cottage kitchen, or that kind of vintage / retro where you're bringing in pops of bright colors and you're using those fiesta greens or cottagey yellows. Those
definitely
are going to go
I could see a little wall gallery with a few of these different, you could get that done in 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Yes. But do not rule out furniture. Just because this is an 8 by 12, you can imagine the adorable collage-y look that you could get with the pages of seed catalogs on a, it could be like if you have that cottage kitchen, doing a coffee bar on a bureau with this in like that green. It's like a grass green. I remember Mom had a Fiesta ware, and that green, what is that? What would you call that color? If any of you can remember or you identify what that color is and can put a word to it, put it in the comments, because I'm always referencing it and it's so popular right now.
And it's a nuanced green because you go it's
not quite jade.
One notch in either direction and it's a completely different color.
It's not grass or sap green, and it's not jade green.
We're going way off on this color green. But it is a beautiful color green.
It is.
One thing I wanted to say before we finish here though with the seed catalog is that if you have been timid to jump in with the transfers, this is the way to go.
This is a great gateway transfer.
It's not intimidating. You can use it on, actually the opposite of furniture, you can use it on things like paper crafting. Cards and mixed media journals. You could create the most darling little garden journal with this.
Oh yeah, that would be fun, a garden journal.
And then you get used to using them and you see they're super easy and fun. So that is Seed Catalog. Make sure you guys get a hold of this. That is our summer collection 2023. Are you guys in love? Do you feel a theme here? Classic,
we make it for
timeless. Yes, we do. Make sure you get with your stockist and get a hold of all of these beautiful designs.
They'll put them aside for you so that if they sell out, yours will be safe.
All right, you guys, like, subscribe, and follow.